Hey, welcome everyone. In this video, I'm going to teach you how I traveled from Canada to the United Kingdom, all without big tech knowing. I say this ironically, as now YouTube knows I've traveled to the United Kingdom recently, but they won't know when. Was it just 2 weeks ago? Maybe 3 months ago? Or maybe is it 2 weeks into the future? As you can see, I'm trying to throw off the algorithm there. I'll never know when I went. And we'll keep it that way. But yeah, so that's basically that. Now, if you want to see the written version of how to get this done, you can find a link to my website in the video description. So there are some things I'm going to be discussing. One is some gotchas with this whole process. One is how did I book my planes, trains, and automobiles? Because I actually use all forms of travel means during my travels. How did I book all of that without big tech knowing? And then finally, how did I actually go to and travel throughout the United Kingdom while using Google Maps, while using my phone without big tech knowing? All of that's to be discussed in chapters. First and foremost, the gotchas. Let's see, the first one. I did not use a VPN when booking my planes, trains, and automobiles. It's not because I didn't want to, it's because I couldn't. Because almost every single airline website and most hotel websites that I used did not allow me to do anything with a VPN active. So I had to do this without a VPN. Now, there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, especially from NordVPN, which I made a video here. I'll put a link to that video, a card up here at the top, as well as a link to the video description, where I basically kind of ripped them a new one and debunked a lot of their claims that you have to have a VPN to be private on the internet. That's not right. I'm going to explain and show how I did it in this video. The only thing a VPN would have helped me in this situation is preventing my ISP, my internet service provider, from not knowing that I went to westjet.com, aircanada.com, airtransit.com, all these random airline sites that I was researching through. They can't see what I'm doing in the web page, but they just know I visited it and that's it. Okay, so, but it's unavoidable. I had no choice. The next one was, here, my note. I attended a major family event, which means that it's very possible someone took my picture and video or video of me and posted on their social media. I don't use social media. For those of you who follow my channel will know that. I have a 27-minute video here explaining how evil Meta is, the biggest social network company in the world. Purely evil, selling children's data, your people's health information from the hospitals. Like, I kid you not, all been disclosed. This is real information. I'll put a link to that video in the video description. And the only big tech company that really knows I use their service out of my own choice was Uber. That's it, because there was no taxi service where we went. It's a very, really boring part of England that we went to. There's not much taxi services when you got off the train. So 100% transparency. I used Uber only because we had to. We had no choice. Okay, so how do we do this? How did I actually book everything? First and foremost, I like to do an outside-in perspective, the way I do my privacy stuff. Basically, first and foremost, is my network secure? Yeah, I'm at home. I'm not on public Wi-Fi or anything like that. Cool. Next thing is VPN. Can't use it in this situation, already explained that. The next is web browser. Please, for the love of God, stop using Google Chrome. And I know a lot of people are like, I use Mozilla Firefox. I do not actually trust Mozilla Firefox. The biggest gotcha with Mozilla Firefox and almost 90% of the browsers, or almost 99 in my testing actually, is that they all want your first name, last name, and your email address to sync your bookmarks. That should not be necessary. I use Brave browser. It does not do that. It gives you like a giant keychain. It's like a mix of 32 random words that are unique to you. So Brave doesn't know my email address. They don't know my first name, last name. So use a good browser. I highly recommend Brave. The next thing most people will do is use a search engine. I personally choose Startpage. You can't log in with your Google account or any account. They don't allow it. They don't want to know my name. They don't want to know anything. It's 100% privacy based. It's just a regular search engine, as you have their own Skyscanner is what they're using for their internal search engine for flights, pricing, and this and that. And of course, just a regular search engine. There's nothing really to it. So I use this. However, here's the big gotcha, is that Google Flights is arguably one of the best in the world for searching through various means. I use stuff like redtag.ca, cheap flights, this and that. But ultimately, I always also came back to Google Flights as one of my comparisons. Now, when using Google Flights, I am actually not signed into my Google account. I'm not signed in my Google account on this browser at all, despite me using YouTube services and Gmail sometimes because of my YouTube channel. So how do I do this? There's two means. One is to open in private browser window, so it clears all cache, easy peasy. I personally find that really cumbersome and annoying because sometimes I have to access my YouTube page. So I actually use a method called browser isolation. I use Vivaldi. I don't like it because it's the same problem. In order to sync your bookmarks and stuff, you have to create an account, which is mandating an email recovery address. I don't like this. So I use it simply for my Google accounts and nothing else. My Brave browser does not have Google ever logged in, so I don't even need to use private browsing. I can if I want to, but I don't have to. Okay, so I booked my information on random dates with 2 passengers, just for example purposes, from Toronto to London using British Airways. When I click it on Google Flights, you get all this information. So I don't click this button right away. Not that it matters because I'm not logged into my Google account. I just don't want them to make any potential commission off me. So what I actually do is, and this is a traveler's tip, you don't have to do this part, okay? This is just simply for me trying to help you out, is I'll go to the booking.com website and go to the official airline website. And what I would do is notice, because you have to pay for everything. You have to pay for carry-on, you have to pay for your luggage. It's a complete ripoff, no matter which way you look at it. I found it's actually cheaper to sometimes go directly to the airline website than booking.com because of all those add-ons, all right? It's just not worth it. It actually turns out to be much more expensive this way. Also, by going directly to BritishAirways.com or whatever their URL is, I absolutely ensure that Google had no idea I went there. If for some reason I was accidentally logged into my Google account during Google Flights. So it's another way you can deviate and from Google, but then also potentially save some money. Hotels. This one is a bit tricky and there's nothing really shown on the screen because you just go through various websites, hotels.com, Hilton, Radisson, whatever. You find your website, you find, I think one is called Kayak. There's not much you can do there because there's so many websites dedicated to just booking hotels that we just went directly to the hotel website itself. You have to provide your first name, last name, credit card information. You can't avoid this, okay? Unless you're going to a really cheap, sketchy motel, most of the common ones, you just can't avoid it. But big tech doesn't know this. The hotel's website knows this, but big tech doesn't, okay? So I still avoided that. But what about transportation to the airport? Because I didn't drive myself because I want to park. It's expensive to leave it there for that duration. I actually have a local phone number a buddy of mine gave me years ago when I used to travel for work very often to the airport. And all they do is come to your local area. Like, I'm here in Southern Ontario, and they drive you to the airport and they do airport pick us back to your home. So airport trips back and forth, that's it. They are price matching close to Uber, but they don't sell my data. They have my address, my first name, last name, that's it. I've been using them for many years and not big tech. So that's how I avoided that. Just try to call local businesses. Try to support local businesses where possible. Don't fall for big tech like Uber, Lyft, whatever you have. So that's that. So everything's booked now, okay? My trip. So the last thing to book, a lot of people overlook at the last second, is an eSIM. Because when you go to the United Kingdom, I don't want to use roaming charges. I'm not going to pay my cell phone provider. I think it's like $17 a day to use my plan there. That's a big ripoff. Get an eSIM. However, getting an eSIM is also a privacy nightmare. Yes, in today's day and age, isn't it wonderful that nothing is sacred and private anymore? So there's 3 big service providers that I examined and kind of butchered is Airlo, Olafly, and Saley. The biggest irony with Saley is that they want to sell and collect a tremendous amount of data, but they're owned by NordVPN, the very same company that says we'll protect your data and privacy with our VPN services. The irony is just despicable here. It's kind of disturbing and disgusting, really. So I have another video explaining how to get an eSIM privately. But if you don't want to watch that video, I'll just give you the solution right here. What I used was Nada Nada. It worked wonderfully for me and other people that travel with me. We landed in Edinburgh and traveled through train for 4 hours to northern England. We switched, we had to switch between cell phone towers during the traveling, and it worked great. We were able to access Vodafone, what was the other one? 3 and O2, I believe. It's also endorsed by Jack, who was the co-founder of Twitter before it became X. There's another site I did not use. I have no experience with it, but they claim to have the same level of privacy as Nada Nada. It's called eSIM. I personally recommend Nada Nada only because I used it. I know it works. eSIM, maybe, research it. Maybe it's good. I don't know, but because I haven't used it. Even entertainment, I think, needs its own little quick discussion here, is that entertainment can also be a gateway to big tech, like Netflix, for example. Netflix is the last streaming service that we have in our home. I'm going 100% self-hosted. I built a server. I'm looking at it right now. I really got to edit that video and put it together and publish it. I keep procrastinating on it. But yeah, everything is on my Plex server. So before we departed Toronto area, I downloaded everything locally to my phone. But big tech doesn't know what I'm doing. And Plex is on a separate profile. So I download everything locally on my phone. I was watching on the plane, I was watching on the train, you get the idea. So I had my entertainment solved. I also got a manga Shaman King novel. I think it has like 3 volumes in one. It's like a massive book. I brought that as a non-digital entertainment. Again, big tech doesn't know I'm traveling through entertainment means. Like Netflix would track you, 100%. Same with Prime Video, but I don't have that services. So I think entertainment is another one that really warrants discussion. Also, I'm behind on video games by a lot. I'm not a fan of Nintendo Switch. We have the original one, but I haven't played Hades. A lot of talk about it. So downloaded Hades locally in Toronto, and I had it offline and playing on the train. Worked great. Fun video game so far. I think about like 5 hours in. Pretty fun. So entertainment is another gateway to big tech spying on you. Automobiles to the airport, airplane, and then train. A train is also a similar model. I forgot to dive into that. Same concept as a hotel. They don't allow VPN connection. You log in with your first name, last name, your credit card information. They have to collect it. I use an email alias. Done. Now I'm at the airport. The problem is this: a lot of people will use, I think it's Google Wallet or Apple Wallet. I don't know what Apple's is called. I couldn't care less, to be honest, with their boarding pass. I did not do that. We did two different things. One was you get an e-boarding pass from our airline that you get from your email. You can download it and save it as a PDF. I did that as a backup. The actual real solution was a paper boarding pass. I did not have it loaded into Google or Apple. I don't want them to know that I'm traveling, all right? The whole point is to be very discreet here. So we used a paper boarding pass and it worked awesome. If we lost that paper boarding pass, we have a backup PDF version we can just open our phone and scan. Again, big tech doesn't know this. Now, how is that possible? Because I'm using Android, it's in case someone's wondering. Well, if I'm using Apple, well, I'm using Graphene OS. It's Android-based. It's a privacy-based operating system. It's the only one of its kind in the entire world. It's truly phenomenal, but it's not perfect. I do call out some caveats that I have with it. Link to that video will be in the video description. And my phone is my most important traveling asset throughout my entire trip, because when I'm in the United Kingdom, this is what's going to get me around privately. So in order to do this best is we have different profiles here on Graphene OS. Again, this is the private operating system I mentioned earlier. Link to that is in the video description. And in the secondary profile, because you have different profiles, they're completely isolated from one another. One profile cannot see what's happening in the other. In the secondary profile is where I load all my train apps for going there and coming or traveling back home. Now, the big problem here is how to use Google Maps. That's going to be the biggest question for a lot of folks. Well, we'll dive into that. So now I want to use Google Maps. How did I do that? Super easy. I created a completely separate profile, which you might have seen just a little bit earlier before the screen cut. And I was using 4 profiles. The 4th one is Google Maps. That's it. So I have Google Play services loaded up in here because it's completely isolated. And what I did was, I have another video explaining how to get this all done on Graphene OS. I'll put a link to that video in the video description. But the point is, what I did was, I went to Aurora Store, not Google Play Store, because with Google Play Store, you have to log in with your Google account. And they'll know that I'm downloading Google Maps. I don't want that. Aurora Store is a free open source app, which you can download from the internet. If you don't trust me, go ahead and research it first before downloading it. That's completely cool. And from here, I would download and install Google Maps, because by doing that, Google doesn't know I've now installed Google Maps. In addition to this, I'm not logged into my Google account. There's nothing there. See, you can see the button says sign in. So by doing this, I'm now traveling in the United Kingdom. I have Google Maps. Google has no idea I downloaded their map app, and they have no clue that I'm actually using the GPS just fine. Even though they can see me on GPS, they don't know it's me. Now, when you're in the United Kingdom, or traveling abroad rather, for wherever you're going, the next thing you have to think about is your payment method. Now, the problem with the United Kingdom is become very cashless. It's very digital. Now, you can get a lot of different credit card means. You can get gift cards that you buy. It's like an Visa gift card here, travel with it and use it there. Or you go to the United Kingdom and you have other means, you know, because whenever you swipe a transaction, it knows your location. Everything's cashless. You don't have a choice. My recommendation is just use your credit card. I use my credit card. So coming back, you do everything in the reverse, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. But so what do? Well, the first thing is, of course, when you check in for your plane ticket coming back, there's no printer in the hotel. So we checked in online, of course. We did it through my laptop, and everything's zooming up on my email, and we have the PDF boarding pass. We like to have 2 just in case of an issue for whatever reason. The other thing, funny enough, is that when we got to the airport, we had to print our luggage tag, and there was a option, hey, do you want to print a boarding pass as well? And I'm like, cool, yes, done. So no security person ever touched my phone. No member of the airline touched my phone to scan my boarding pass. Sometimes they do that. I don't like that. You didn't touch it. Here's my paper boarding pass. Problem solved by the airline themselves. You don't want to worry about things like, is big tech watching me? I'm going on a vacation. I'm here to desensitize and relax. I'm going on a business trip. Do I really want big tech knowing my job information? LinkedIn is a whole separate video I think I should make on. It's a privacy nightmare in itself. Anyway, but the point is, like, you don't want to do this, but when you list out everything, planes, trains, and automobiles booking, hotel booking, entertainment, which I discussed briefly, Just social media and trying to avoid it where sometimes it's not possible. Trying to get a cab where you're in the middle of nowhere and there's no cab, you got to get an Uber. All these things add up. It is disgusting when you travel, when you realize, when you're trying to get away from it all, how bad lack of privacy is. The number one culprit is this. Anyone who travels with a flip phone, I couldn't do it, but good for you. You print out all your boarding passes and stuff, good for you. I actually respect that. So don't make fun of people with flip phones. They might be some of the smartest people on the planet. You'd be surprised. But that's pretty much it. I hope you found this video useful. I hope you learned something and hope you can apply it. And that's pretty much a wrap. Be sure to hit the like button. It does help. Subscribe. It literally helps my channel grow. And thanks for watching.